Porter.
Scotty B going to work in the paint.
Eastern Conference Final. New NBA champion. And it's a team from Toronto, Canada. We, the North, are now we, the champions.
What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here back with the Raptors Nation podcast. Hope you're all doing well on this Thursday, April 11th, as the NBA regular season is coming to a close. Unfortunately, the Raptors will not be a part of the postseason picture, so the Raptors season ends in 2 games. They will play against the Miami Heat on Friday, and then once again, they will take on the Heat on Sunday, which will conclude what has been just a roller coaster of a 2023-2024 season for the Raptors, and a lot of people are happy this one is about to end. But look, there's a lot to look forward to going into next season. We've been seeing a lot of good things from the young players on this team. Raptors could have up to 3 picks in this year's draft. We'll get to that more a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, all hope is not lost. The Toronto Raptors are building something nice here, but it will take some time. So we are going to talk about Immanuel Quickley, who has really been impressing me lately, showing that he can be a big piece of this Raptors core moving forward. We're going to talk about Jontay Porter possibly being banned by the NBA. Huge news coming out of the NBA. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver made some very interesting remarks as it pertains to Jontay Porter's gambling allegations. That investigation still ongoing. Nothing finalized on that front just yet. And then to end the show, we're going to be taking a look at the Raptors' chances, which are really strong right now when it comes to closing out with the 6th worst record in the NBA. As the Raptors are hoping they can keep their 2024 first-round pick, which is top 6 protected. Do me a solid, everybody. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can also follow this podcast wherever you get your favorite podcast on Apple, iTunes, or Spotify. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It would be greatly appreciated. So we're going to begin today's show, guys, by talking about Immanuel Quickley's brilliance. Immanuel Quickley has really impressed me. He has been just on another level, it seems, since the All-Star break. He missed some time due to personal reasons, but since coming back quickly, he's been locked in. In his last 3 games, Immanuel Quickley has been playing on a whole other level. He's coming off a 32.7 rebound, 9 assist performance against the Brooklyn Nets. First Raptor since Fred VanVleet to reach those numbers in a game. This is via StatMuse. And Immanuel Quickley has been brilliant over his last 3 games. You're talking about 25, 11, and 9, 31, 7, and 13, and 32, 7, and 9. Quickley did get the night off against the Indiana Pacers, but he's really hitting his stride. He's really been doing a great job of not only getting his offense going, getting to the foul line. Those free throw attempts have been high, which is great to see because a lot of guards, it's tough to get a call nowadays. I mean, we just saw a game in which the Boston Celtics didn't even get a free throw attempt, becoming the first team in NBA history to accomplish that. So it's tough to get free throws with kind of how the game has evolved. Immanuel Quickley doing a good job getting to the line, getting his offense going, getting his teammates involved. You see those assist numbers high, which is what you want to see, making an impact on the glass. He's a small guard, but it doesn't matter. Immanuel Quickley is still able to get these rebounds. So Quickley is really starting to build confidence and continuity with this Raptors team. And you got to think, he's playing on a team that's had many players miss some time, right? This team's best player, Scotty Barnes, has been out. Jakob Poeltl has been out. So Quickley is doing this with guys constantly being implemented in the lineup. Guys in and out of the lineup. Immanuel Quickley, he's had to endure kind of what the hand has been, and still he's putting up these nice numbers. It doesn't matter who's around him. He's making it work. And over his last 3 games in particular, Immanuel Quickley averaging 29.3 points per game, 8.3 rebounds per game, 10.3 assists per game. These are just stellar numbers, guys, on 45, 39, 97 shooting splits. And Immanuel Quickley was able to talk about the chemistry. And this is what he said, and I quote, this was the other day: "Really, all the guys have been great. The energy in practice has been unbelievable. Not even on the court, but off the court, I feel like we're gelling. I was playing Call of Duty with Scotty Barnes before the game today, so chemistry is building, vibes is building, and that's what we try to be about." And that's what it's about for this Raptors team. It's about building good habits. It's about getting those vibes. to be at an all-time high level, and it's about getting this team right with their core pieces going into next season. And right now, I look at Immanuel Quickley, guys, and I am very excited to see what he can do on this Raptors team with a full season under his belt. And I'm going to repeat myself. I did say this on the post game. Maybe some of you didn't catch it. And this could be shooting for the stars, if you will. But I think we can see something similar happen with Immanuel Quickley than the situation that we saw Jalen Brunson just endure. And it's kind of crazy because Immanuel Quickley's coming from that point guard tree, if you will, where you look at the Dallas Mavericks from a few seasons ago. Luca was the guy, MVP caliber player, superstar. Jalen Brunson got overshadowed. Then the Mavericks didn't bring him back. Jalen Brunson goes to the Knicks, where he did get that great opportunity where he was going to be given an increased workload, and he's now become the guy for the Knicks. And as a result of that, Immanuel Quickley, who showed so many good things for the Knicks in that six-man role, didn't really get the opportunity as a starter because of Brunson's leap that he took. So now Immanuel Quickley goes to a Raptors team that is in need of a franchise point guard, a guy who is going to take this Raptors team to the next era. And we're seeing it in a small sample size. Granted, we're seeing how great Immanuel Quickley can be. So it's kind of like that point guard tree, if you will, of sometimes all it takes is for a guy to be in an ideal situation where he is going to be granted a bigger opportunity, and that's going to unlock a new element to his game. So I'm not ready to say Immanuel Quickley is going to be Jalen Brunson, although I'm not putting any ceiling on Immanuel Quickley. What I'm saying is, don't be surprised if Immanuel Quickley takes a leap next season and we see that similar trajectory of a guy finding himself in the ideal situation, now getting starters minutes, now getting an increased workload every single night, something that he didn't have before, and making the most out of that and really showing us what he can be. So Immanuel Quickley, I think the sky's the limit for this kid. You know, you always hear the comparison of Tyrese Maxey, and you look at Quickley's development. He didn't have this opportunity in New York. Now he's on a Raptors team where he is the starter. They got to start looking at Quickley as one of the main pillars on this Raptors team when teams go up against Toronto going into next season. Whereas before, he wasn't the second or third option on a team. Now he has an opportunity to be a big option on this Raptors team behind the likes of Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. So Immanuel Quickley, I think the Raptors do have their franchise point guard here. Obviously, he's a restricted free agent in all likelihood. Both sides are going to get something done. I did speculate what that number could look like in a previous pod, and we'll see. And that's another important point here. I mean, Immanuel Quickley is showing the Raptors, look, like, I'm clearly worth the money, and you're going to, you give me a good contract. Give me a compelling contract that's going to make me stay here and keep me here. And right now, with the way he's playing, the Toronto Raptors are going to be glad to give Immanuel Quickley a nice hefty contract this summer. So whatever that number is, we've seen some things, maybe even hovering around the $30 million a year mark, a little bit less than that. I would not be surprised, just based on what we've seen from Immanuel Quickley and the need that's there from this Raptors team at that point guard position. Immanuel Quickley is going to get paid this summer. And like I said, the Raptors are going to be glad to do so, especially knowing that Immanuel Quickley is on the rise in terms of his production. So, yeah, Immanuel Quickley has been delivering, and we'll see if he can close out the season strong. 2 more games to do so. That's if the Raptors don't rest him the rest of the way. So we'll see how Quickley finishes out the season. But we are going to now switch gears to the Jontay Porter situation. So we're going from a high to a low, and that is Jontay Porter could be facing a lifetime ban from the NBA, guys, following his gambling investigation. So the league has been investigating him following a series of unusual gambling activity that was reported by ESPN. A couple weeks ago, there was an increased betting interest on the under for Porter in a game on January 29th, in a game against the Los Angeles Clippers. In that game, Porter played 4 minutes. He exited to a re-aggravation of an eye injury, and all the unders cashed in on him. Then in a game on March 20th against the Phoenix Suns, Porter just played 3 minutes before he left that game due to illness, and the unders on Porter cashed in. So it was very weird how the Toronto Raptors' third string center, who was getting playing time just because of the Raptors' injury situation, was having all these bets put on him. And what was even more eye-opening when you look back at things is the fact that Porter, in these instances, left the game early and these under bets cashed in. So when you line things up, obviously innocent until proven guilty, it's not looking good for Jontay Porter in the grand scheme of things. Let's just call it for how it is. And if Porter is found guilty of the allegations, he could be facing a lifetime ban because NBA Commissioner Adam Silver reportedly said what Jontay Porter is accused of is a cardinal sin, and the punishment for it could be a permanent ban from the league. This was per ESPN's Tim Bontemps. So Silver made it clear that the consequences will be severe if Porter is indeed found guilty. He said this: there is nothing more serious, I think, around this league when it comes to gambling and betting on our games, and that is a direct player involvement. So the investigation is ongoing, but the consequences could be very severe. And I actually said this in the podcast that I did with Sean Davis of Lakers Nation a few weeks ago on this channel. My take was, if Porter is found guilty, I would not be surprised if Jontay Porter gets the boot and he's banned, because you got to look at this from the NBA's perspective, guys. This is a huge, huge deal. And this is a player betting on games, manipulating bets on games. And this is the NBA. It's a huge league. So if Porter is indeed found guilty, you can't have this happen again. You got to come down hard and you got to make an example out of the guy who caused this first ever sin of doing something like this. And it just so happens to be Toronto Raptors center Jontay Porter. So I said it then, I'll say it again now. I would not be surprised if Jontay Porter is in fact banned. And that is what NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is alluding to. If Porter is indeed guilty, he's going to get the boot out of the NBA. And this is what the NBA needs to do. They got to come down on this hard. They got to set an example of Porter so it ensures that this does not happen ever again. This is not a good look at all. We saw something similar with Ohtani, obviously with his interpreter in the MLB. It was only a matter of time until something like this came out in the NBA. So happens to be a Raptors player, just adding to the craziness that has been this season. So Jontay Porter, he may have cost himself his career by participating in this, if indeed he did. And, the evidence, the details come out that suggest that Porter is indeed guilty. And it would be a shame because, you look at Jontay Porter, he did show some nice things. Young, 24 years old, to be booted out of the NBA, and banned, that would just be detrimental to his career. And, you just look at the motive that he had behind this. I'm not too sure. Obviously, his brother's Michael Porter Jr., successful player on the Denver Nuggets. And I don't know if Porter felt like he knew deep down he didn't have a long time in the league. And he just said to himself, hey, I'm literally going to bet on myself, try to make some money while I'm here because I know I don't have a long shelf life in this league. But if he is indeed found guilty, just very unfortunate that he decided to take this route, knowing that, he did have an opportunity to play in these games, earn himself a credible opportunity on an NBA squad and make a living doing things the right way. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see how this thing plays out. But if he's guilty, yeah, he's getting the boot, guys. He's going to be banned. And that's going to make another Raptors player that faced the ban. Remember, Jalen Harris had the ban in 2021 for the illegal substances. So this would not be a good look for the Toronto Raptors organization again if Jontay Porter does indeed get banned and if these allegations indeed prove to be true. So Jontay Porter, the situation has been very interesting to say the least. Obviously, the investigation is still ongoing, like Adam Silver said. So we will keep our eyes out for this and see if anything new develops, but it's not looking good for Porter. All right, guys, we are going to close out the show talking about the Raptors' sixth worst record chase. So just want to clear something up here because there's people that think the Raptors have clinched it. They haven't yet. If they beat the Nets the other day, that would have made things really interesting. So thankfully, the Raptors weren't able to win that game. Thank you, Dennis Schroeder, for being disruptor in that situation. So with the loss, the Raptors' chances are as follows. The Raptors just need one more loss or a Memphis Grizzlies win to clinch the 6th worst record, because still the Raptors and Grizzlies can finish the season with the same record. If the Raptors win out these final 2 games and the Grizzlies lose out their final 2 games, they would have identical records. And if that's the case, then a coin flip would determine which of the teams would finish with the 6th best odds in the lottery. So the Raptors don't want to have it come down to that. They don't want a coin flip to decide if they're going to get the 6th best odds. They want the 6th best odds, because even if they do have the 6th best odds, they still got to bank on the coin flip's chance of keeping their first round pick for this upcoming draft. So it is looking likely that the Raptors are going to be able to secure that 6th worst record. I mean, Miami, they got something to play for. I don't see the Raptors beating Miami twice. I mean, we've seen crazier things happen, but I do think the Raptors are going to lose at least one of these games. I'm not banking on the Grizzlies winning at all, so the Grizzlies can do their thing and lose out, but the Raptors are going to have to take care of their side of this, and they're going to have to lose one more game. If the Raptors somehow decide, hey, we're going to play, that would be the stupidest thing possible, and you would just throw down the drain everything you did to get yourself in this position to keep your first-round pick. So don't be surprised if the Raptors rest some guys, but it's very clear the Raptors cannot win these next 2 games. So Friday night against Miami, Sunday against Miami, both games in Miami. If Miami was like a lottery team or they're out of it, I would be a little bit afraid. I'm not going to lie. But Miami, because they're still trying to, jostle positioning in the Eastern Conference, these games are in Miami. I feel confident that the Raptors are not going to win these games, and they're going to lose at least one of them. So that is the situation for the Raptors. They lose one more game. It's in their control. They clinch the 6th worst record in the NBA. But they're not completely out of the tunnel at that point when it comes to keeping their first-round pick, because the Raptors would just have a 46% chance of keeping their pick, which means this thing's coming down to lottery night either way. We would find out on lottery night if the Raptors do indeed fall in that 6th worst record slot, that 6th best odds in the draft lottery, and keep their 6th pick, their number 6 pick. So there's still a lot at play here, but what the Raptors can indeed finalize and capitalize is just winning losing one more game to ensure that they will have the 6th worst record, which would give them that 45.8% chance of keeping their pick on NBA lottery night. And obviously there's been a lot of mock drafts that have come out, a lot of speculation over who the Raptors are going to take at that number 6 spot if they do land there. And we've had continuous coverage of that on RaptorsNation.com, just looking at different mock drafts that have come out, giving our input, weighing in on it. I've had Sean Davis come on the channel, even Ron Gutterman, give me their take about who the Raptors could target in this upcoming draft. And obviously we're going to have way more draft coverage, guys, as the Raptors season is all but over, and it's all about looking towards that all-important 2024 NBA draft. Because if the Raptors are able to keep their number 6 pick in the draft, they're going to have 3 picks to operate with. They're going to have number 6. They're going to have the Indiana Pacers pick. Unfortunately, Indiana doesn't look like they're going to fall into the play-in tournament, because there was a possibility that the Pacers could have fallen into the play-in tournament, even missed the playoffs, and that would have given the Raptors another lottery pick. But that pick's looking like it's going to be like 15-17 if the Pacers are one and done in the playoffs. So yeah, they're going to have that one. And then they're also going to have the Detroit Pistons pick. Which is going to be an early 2nd rounder. So the Raptors are going to have 3 picks to operate with, 3 young guys to add to this young core that, it's going to be Barnes, Quickley, Barrett, and Grady Dick, who, by the way, shout out to Grady Dick. He had a career night against the Nets. Not only did Quickley cook, but Dick had his best game as a pro, 24 points, career high 6 made 3-pointers. And that is a guy who could very well be a starter on this team come next season. We don't know the Gary Trent Jr. situation. I've said my bit on that. I would not be surprised if the Raptors don't bring him back. And, we're really seeing what Grady Dick can be. Now, whether or not it's a starter, that remains to be seen. But at the very worst, Grady Dick's looking like he's going to be that first guy from off the bench, that valuable bench contributor on this Raptors team going into next season. So the Raptors do have some nice young pillars in place. They're going to continue to add to that with the draft. They got to get this draft right. Very, very important, because this draft could go a long way in determining whether or not this is going to be a quick rebuild. Because if the Raptors ace these picks, things are going to move along steadily, obviously with the continued progression of Barnes, Quickley, Barrett, and Dick. But this draft is important. So that's why I know there's still people out there that want the pick to convey because it's a weak draft class, but I'm all on the opposite of that. The Raptors need this pick, especially after the season. Get this pick, have 3 in your pocket for the 2024 NBA draft, and the scouting department's going to have to cook. They're going to have to ace these picks because it's going to be a very, very big draft for this Raptors team as they hope to be in a much better position this time next season. And we'll see if that's the case. So that will conclude today's show, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the following topics. Do you think Immanuel Quickley is this team's franchise point guard? Do you think Porter's going to get banned? And will the Raptors do their job, lose one of their next 2 games, and have the 6th worst record? And, at least give themselves a 45.8% chance, which, again, would be a coin flip's chance of keeping their pick come the 2024 NBA draft. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Hit a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Thank you all for your continued support on this podcast. I will be back Friday night, tomorrow night, after the Raptors take on the Heat. We'll see if the Raptors win or lose that game. But based on what I just said, a lot of Raptors fans are hoping for the L to ensure they will finish with the 6th worst record. That is it for me, guys. Luca signing off. Thanks so much for watching. I will catch you all again in the next one.